The massive hegemony ships moved slowly into the Sol system. 37 warships, each gleaming with weapons and armor, spread out in attack formation. On the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominance General Vexlor watched the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. "All ships report ready for battle, General," said Commander Zarvik, standing tall beside his leader. "The humans must have detected us by now." General Vexlor nodded, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Good. Our reports say these humans are fighters. I expect to see their defense fleet soon." He ran a hand over his gray, scaled head. "How many ships do we think they have?" "Intelligence suggests at least 50 warships, sir, though they may be smaller than ours." Vexlor smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Then this will be a proper battle." "Excellent." The bridge crew worked at their stations, monitoring sensors and preparing weapons. They had conquered 17 other worlds. Earth would be number 18. "General," called the sensor officer suddenly, "we're detecting a ship leaving Earth orbit, moving toward us." "Show me," ordered Vexlor. The screen changed to show a single vessel approaching. It was smaller than the hegemony flagship, sleek and white with blue markings. Just one ship. "Where are the others?" Vexlor demanded, leaning forward. "Scan again." The sensor officer worked frantically. "Nothing, sir. Our scans show only this one vessel approaching. No other ships are leaving Earth's orbit." Confused whispers spread across the bridge. Commander Zarvik frowned deeply. "Is this some kind of joke?" Vexlor growled. "Or a trap?" "The human ship is hailing us, sir," reported the communications officer. "Put them on screen. Let's see what game they're playing." The screen changed to show a human female with short black hair and a crisp blue uniform. She looked calm and unafraid. "Greetings, Hegemony Fleet. I am Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force, commanding the HSS Defiant *. We've been expecting you." General Vexlor stared in disbelief. "One ship. Your world sends a single vessel to face our armada. Where is your fleet, human?" Admiral Chen smiled slightly. "The Defiant is sufficient for this encounter, General Vexlor. I request a meeting to discuss your presence in our system." The bridge erupted in laughter. Commander Zarvik stepped forward. "You face 37 warships, human, each capable of destroying your cities from orbit. And you bring one ship to talk." "Yes." Admiral Chen replied simply. "One ship is all that's needed. I propose we meet at the neutral station orbiting Mars to discuss terms." General Vexlor studied the human's face. There was no fear there, only confidence. It made no sense. "Very well," he finally said. "I will grant you this meeting, but know that it changes nothing. Earth will join the hegemony or be destroyed." "We'll see," said Admiral Chen. "The Defiant will escort your shuttle to the station tomorrow at 800 Earth time." Her image disappeared from the screen. General Vexlor turned to his commander. "What are they thinking? This makes no sense." "Perhaps they wish to surrender quickly," suggested Zarvik. "No," Vexlor said slowly. "Did you see her face? That was not a person preparing to surrender." He stared at the lone human ship on the screen. "Something is wrong here. Why would they send just one ship?" The Mars station hung in space like a silver wheel. Inside its central meeting room, Admiral Chen sat calmly at one end of a long table. Across from her, General Vexlor and 3 of his officers watched her with suspicious eyes. "Let us be clear, Admiral," Vexlor said, placing his scaled hands on the table. "You face an impossible situation. 37 warships against your one, yet you show no fear." Admiral Chen nodded. "Because fear would be pointless, General." She tapped a screen in front of her. "Tell me, how is your conflict with the Shalari Dominion progressing? I understand you lost 3 border outposts last month." The alien general's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in surprise. "How do you know about that?" Those reports are secret. Chen smiled. We pay attention, General. Just as we know about the rebellion on your colony world Drevix and your fleet's fuel shortage problems. Commander Zarvik leaned forward. You are trying to distract us, human. It won't work. No distraction, Chen replied. Just establishing that we know more than you think we do. She looked directly at Vexilor. I suggest you take your fleet and leave. The Sol system is not for conquest. Vexilor laughed, a harsh sound. With what power do you make such demands? Where is your fleet? Are they hiding? We don't need a fleet, Chen said simply. Back on his flagship, Intelligence Chief Zorax watched Earth broadcasts with growing confusion. Humans went about their daily lives. News programs discussed weather, sports, and entertainment. Only brief mentions were made of the diplomatic visitors in space. This makes no sense, Zorax muttered to himself. Their world should be in panic. Military alerts. Emergency preparations. He scratched his scaled head. Instead, they talk about something called basketball. He deployed 6 small spy drones toward Earth to gather more information. Within minutes, all 6 went silent. At the Mars station, General Vexilor pounded the table. Enough games. You have until tomorrow to surrender Earth to the hegemony, or we attack. Admiral Chen remained calm. That would be unwise, General. Why? Will your hidden fleet suddenly appear? Vexilor mocked. No, Chen replied. We truly only sent 1 ship. Then you are fools. Chen smiled again. 1 ship is all we need. Later, aboard the Defiant, Chen met with her crew. Dr. Eli Novak, the ship's science officer, looked up from his screen. They've sent spy drones, he reported. Earth defense neutralized them. As expected, Chen nodded. And their scans of our ship. Confused, Dr. Novak chuckled. Their sensors can't make sense of our quantum systems. Lieutenant Park, the tactical officer, looked worried. Admiral, why not just tell them what we can do? Show them our power. They might leave without a fight. Chen shook her head. The hegemony only respects strength they can see and understand. They need to learn slowly. She looked out at the hegemony fleet through the view screen. Tomorrow, we begin the demonstration. Back on the flagship, Zorax reported to General Vexilor. Sir, something is wrong. Earth seems unconcerned about our presence. And the human ship, the Defiant. Our sensors show impossible energy readings. Impossible how? Demanded Vexilor. The power signatures, they don't match any known technology. And sometimes the ship seems to be in 2 places at once. Vexilor stared at the lone human vessel on the screen. 1 ship against 37. Yet somehow, for the first time in his military career, he felt a creeping sense of doubt. What are they hiding? He whispered. 3 days had passed since the hegemony armada entered the Sol system. General Vexilor paced the bridge of his flagship, his patience wearing thin. Sir, called the sensor officer suddenly. We've lost contact with scout ships 5 and 9. Vexilor stopped pacing. What? Where were they? Near the human moon, sir. They were investigating some strange energy readings. Now they're gone. Commander Zarvik looked troubled. No distress signals. No debris. Nothing, sir. They simply vanished. General Vexilor slammed his fist on a nearby console. Contact the human ship immediately. Minutes later, Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen. She looked genuinely surprised at the news of the missing scout ships. We had nothing to do with your missing vessels, General, she said. But we're willing to help you investigate. Help us, Vexilor sneered. Or finish what you started. Chen's eyes narrowed. If we wanted to destroy your ships, General, we wouldn't need tricks. After the call ended, Intelligence Chief Zorax approached his leader. Sir, the human vessel is moving. They watched as the Defiant performed a series of maneuvers near Mars. The ship moved in strange patterns, sometimes stopping completely before darting away at impossible speeds. What are they doing? Vexlor demanded. Is this some kind of battle preparation? Unknown, sir, replied Zorax. But their movements make no tactical sense. It's like they're testing something. That evening, the humans invited several hegemony officers to a diplomatic dinner aboard the Mars station. Dr. Eli Novak, the science officer from the Defiant, chatted with the alien scientists. Your faster-than-light drive is quite interesting, he said, sipping from his glass. Though a bit outdated by our standards, we moved beyond traditional FTL about 40 years ago, after our quantum physics breakthrough. The hegemony science officer, Trelvac, nearly choked on his drink. Quantum physics breakthrough. What breakthrough? Dr. Novak smiled. Oh, just some advances in quantum entanglement manipulation. Nothing special. He changed the subject quickly, but the alien scientists exchanged worried glances. Later that night, aboard the flagship, alarms blared. Sir, the sensor officer called out, we're detecting unusual energy from the human ship. On the screen, the Defiant glowed with a faint blue light. The ship seemed to shimmer, almost like it wasn't fully solid. What are these readings? Vexlor demanded, looking at the data. Trelvac, who had returned from the dinner, studied the numbers with wide eyes. Impossible. These energy signatures suggest quantum-level manipulation on a massive scale. Our sensors can barely interpret it. What does that mean? Asked Commander Zarvik. It means, Trelvac said slowly, that everything we know about physics says this ship shouldn't exist. Not like this. General Vexlor stared at the screen, watching the human vessel. Its strange blue glow reflected in his four eyes. First they know our secrets, he said quietly. Then our ships vanish. Now this. He turned to his officers. I want answers. What are we really facing here? Why would Earth send just one ship unless? He didn't finish the sentence. The thought was too disturbing. Unless one ship was all they needed. Alarms sounded across the hegemony fleet as a damaged ship limped into the Sol system. Its hull was scorched and broken in many places. General Vexlor ordered it brought alongside his flagship immediately. Captain Mexnar. Vexlor greeted the injured officer who stumbled onto his bridge. What happened to your ship? Captain Mexnar looked terrified, his scales pale with fear. General, I bring grave news. 3 conquest fleets sent to human colony worlds have gone silent. The bridge grew quiet. Commander Zarvik stepped forward. All 3 fleets. That's impossible. Together, they had over 50 warships. Gone, Mexnar insisted. We were monitoring from our outpost when... Suddenly, the injured captain froze mid-sentence. The screens on the bridge flickered. The damaged ship outside went dark, all its systems shutting down at once. What's happening? Demanded Vexlor. Unknown, sir, replied the sensor officer. The ship's power systems have completely failed. No apparent cause. General Vexlor slammed his communication panel. Get me the human ship. Now. Admiral Chen appeared on screen, her face calm as always. What have you done? Vexlor roared. We know about our missing fleets. This is an act of war. For the first time, Admiral Chen's expression changed. She looked almost sad. General, I had hoped to avoid this conversation, but it seems the time has come for some truth. She leaned forward. Your hegemony has attacked 17 species across the galaxy. 16 surrendered to you. 1 fought back and was destroyed. Chen's eyes hardened. Humanity will be different. We will be your first true defeat. Vexlor laughed bitterly. With 1 ship, you are either insane or hiding something. We hide nothing, Chen replied. We simply have no need to show everything. She paused. I ask once more, leave this system peacefully. Never, spat Vexlor. Then you have made your choice. Chen's image disappeared from the screen. That night, chaos erupted across the hegemony fleet. 5 more ships reported complete system failures. Engineers found no evidence of sabotage or attack. The quantum processors that powered the ships simply stopped working. In his private quarters, General Vexlor met with his senior officers. "How is this possible?" asked Commander Zarvik. "No weapons were fired. No boarding parties detected. Yet our ships are failing." Science Officer Trelvac looked nervous. "Sir, after speaking with that human scientist, I've been researching their quantum physics advancement claims." He swallowed hard. If they truly mastered quantum entanglement manipulation— "Speak plainly," growled Vexlor. "They could theoretically affect matter at the subatomic level, sir. From any distance, what looks like one ship might actually be connected to their entire defense network through quantum links we cannot detect." Intelligence Chief Zorax shook his head. "That's impossible technology." "Is it?" asked Trelvac. "Then explain how our ships are failing without a single shot being fired." General Vexlor stared out his viewport at the distant blue planet. One human ship sat between his fleet and Earth, seemingly unconcerned by the 37 warships surrounding it. "What are we really facing?" he whispered, more to himself than his officers. Across the void of space, aboard the Defiant, Admiral Chen looked at the same stars. "They still don't understand," she said quietly to Dr. Novak. "But they will soon." Captain Drevenar of the hegemony warship Merciless had run out of patience. His ship hung at the edge of the fleet, weapons locked on the lone human vessel. "This has gone on long enough." He growled to his weapons officer. "Fire 2 missiles. Let's see how tough this human ship really is." 2 missiles streaked across space toward the Defiant. The bridge crew of the Merciless watched eagerly, expecting to see an explosion. Instead, something impossible happened. The missiles stopped in mid-flight. Then, before the shocked aliens' eyes, the missiles began to come apart. Piece by piece, they disassembled themselves in space. The components floated harmlessly back toward the Merciless. On the flagship, General Vexlor watched the scene with wide eyes. "What did I just see?" The comm screen lit up. Admiral Chen's face appeared, looking disappointed. "We had hoped to avoid demonstrations," she said with a sigh. Captain Drevenar forced our hand. "What did you do?" demanded Vexlor. "That was not any defense technology we've ever seen." Chen nodded. "General, it's time for some honesty. Humanity mastered quantum entanglement manipulation over 40 years ago." Dr. Novak appeared beside her. "To put it simply, we can influence matter at the subatomic level across vast distances. Your missiles didn't hit us because we changed their structure before they could." "Impossible," whispered Commander Zarvik. "What appears to be one ship," Chen continued, "is actually connected to Earth's entire defense network through quantum links. The Defiant is both here and there at the same time." Trelvac, the science officer, stepped forward. "If this is true, prove it." Admiral Chen smiled. "In exactly 6 hours, your home fleet in the Vega system will experience complete power loss for exactly 10 minutes. No ships will be harmed, but they will drift helplessly." "That's 20 light-years away," protested Zarvik. "Distance is meaningless with quantum entanglement," Dr. Novak explained. "What affects one particle affects its entangled partner instantly, no matter how far apart they are." General Vexlor stared at the human officers. "If what you say is true, if you can affect matter across such distances, then why send even one ship? Why not disable our fleet from Earth?" "2 reasons," Chen replied. "First, to give you a chance to leave peacefully. And second," she paused, "to show respect. We don't attack without facing our opponents directly." The communication ended. On the bridge of the flagship, silence fell. "Could they really affect our home fleet?" asked Zarvik quietly. "We'll know in 6 hours," replied Vexlor. 5 hours and 58 minutes later, an urgent message arrived from Hegemony Command. The entire home fleet had lost power simultaneously. Every ship drifted helplessly for exactly 10 minutes before systems returned to normal. General Vexlor sank into his command chair, his scaled skin pale with shock. "One ship," he whispered. They only needed one ship. Intelligence Chief Zorax looked up from his console. "Sir, we're detecting unusual quantum readings from Earth's moon. I think we should investigate." Vexlor nodded slowly. "Yes, we need to understand what we're truly facing here." Little did he know, the humans were counting on exactly that decision. While the generals and commanders argued about what to do next, one hegemony crew member worked quietly in the ship's library section. Professor Thelora was not a soldier but a xenoanthropologist who studied alien cultures. She had requested to join this mission months ago, curious about humans. Now, as she searched through ancient academic archives, her hands trembled with excitement. "I found something," she whispered to herself, reading text on her screen. The words were from a civilization that had died out 30,000 years ago. They spoke of a planet of reality shapers who could bend the fabric of existence with thought alone. More research revealed similar warnings from 5 other extinct species. All mentioned a world that was quarantined by agreement among early spacefaring races, not because its people were primitive, but because they were too powerful. Thelora rushed to General Vexlor's war room, where he was meeting with his officers. "General, I must speak with you," she said, out of breath. "Humanity wasn't primitive when we found them. They were contained." She placed her data pad on the table, showing the ancient warnings. These records suggest early space civilizations agreed to leave Earth alone, not out of fear, but out of respect for their power. Commander Zarvik scoffed. "Old myths and legends." "Then explain what we've seen," Thelora challenged. Their quantum manipulation is exactly what these records describe as reality shaping. Before Vexlor could respond, the communications officer burst in. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Shalari Dominion." Everyone froze. The Shalari were the hegemony's greatest enemies. On the screen appeared a tall, elegant alien with silver skin. "This is High Commander Wiesel of the Shalari Dominion. We offer alliance against the humans." General Vexlor narrowed his 4 eyes. "Why would you offer us alliance?" "We too have encountered human power," Wiesel replied. 3 of our scout fleets disappeared near human space. Together, perhaps we can overcome them." Admiral Chen's voice suddenly cut into the transmission. "High Commander Wiesel, this is Admiral Chen. I must decline your offer on behalf of Earth." Both alien leaders looked shocked. "You heard our private communication," stammered Wiesel. "Of course," Chen replied calmly. "As I explained to General Vexlor, distance means little to us. We need no allies for defense, High Commander, only for peaceful cooperation." The transmission ended abruptly. Seconds later, hegemony communication officers reported something strange. "Sir, we're picking up fragmented human transmissions," one officer said. "They're disturbing." "Play them," ordered Vexlor. A human voice crackled through the speakers. "Consciousness transfer complete. Neural patterns successfully uploaded to Defiant interface." Another voice. "Mars Defense Grid reports 50% of operators now in quantum projection state." Thelora's eyes widened. They can transfer their consciousness between bodies and machines. It's exactly what the ancient texts described. General Vexlor stared at the data pad, then at the image of the lone human ship on his screen. "We've made a terrible mistake coming here," he whispered. General Vexlor paced his quarters for hours, considering his options. Finally, he made his decision. He would not retreat. The hegemony never retreated. "Prepare all ships for attack," he ordered when he returned to the bridge. "We will destroy Earth and end this threat once and for all." But something unexpected happened. The crew members looked at each other. No one moved to follow his order. "Did you not hear me?" Vexlor roared. "Prepare for attack." Commander Zarvik stepped forward, his face troubled. "Sir, the crew, they refuse." "What? This is mutiny." Vexlor's scales darkened with rage. The doors to the bridge slid open. Professor Philora entered, followed by several crew members. "Not mutiny, General. Awakening," she said calmly. "May I show you something?" She activated a screen showing environmental readings from the ship. "Look at these numbers," she said. "Since we entered this system, our life support systems have been slowly changing. Oxygen levels, temperature, humidity, all shifting to human-preferred conditions." "We're being attacked?" Vexlor asked, alarmed. "No," Thelora shook her head. "We're being optimized. The changes make us more comfortable, clearer-minded. The humans have been subtly influencing our ship systems through their quantum manipulation." Commander Zarvik nodded. "I felt it. For days now, my thinking seems clearer. Old doubts I had about hegemony policies have returned." "Mind control," spat Vexlor. "No, General," Thelora said firmly. "Look at these brain scans." She showed another set of readings. "Our brain chemistry is returning to natural levels. The hegemony leadership has been suppressing our natural thought patterns for generations through subtle chemical adjustments in our ship environments." Vexlor stared in shock as crew members nodded in agreement. "The humans haven't controlled our minds," continued Thelora. "They freed them." Throughout the fleet, similar scenes played out. On 12 ships, crews declared independence from hegemony command. They requested permission to approach Mars for asylum. On the Defiant, Admiral Chen received the request. "Permission granted," she said immediately. "Mars Station will coordinate your approach." Dr. Novak smiled beside her. "It's happening exactly as the quantum prediction engines calculated. 94% probability of partial fleet defection within 7 days. "What about the remaining ships?" asked Lieutenant Park. "They'll make their choice soon," Chen replied. "Either way, Earth is safe." On the flagship, General Vexlor watched helplessly as a third of his fleet broke formation and moved toward Mars. "How could this happen?" he asked, his voice hollow. Professor Philora placed a data pad before him. "This is what I learned from the ancient texts, General. Humans developed quantum consciousness technologies long ago. They chose isolation not out of weakness, but wisdom. They knew their power could disrupt the natural development of other species. Then why engage with us now?" Vexlor demanded. "Because you came to them," Thelora said simply. "And they chose the gentlest way to stop you, by showing your people the truth." Vexlor looked at the view screen, where the Defiant sat unchanged amidst the chaos of his fragmenting fleet. One ship, just one ship had done all this. As the hegemony fleet continued to fracture, Admiral Chen decided it was time for full honesty. She invited General Vexlor to a private meeting aboard the Mars station. Despite his officers' warnings, the general agreed. He needed answers. In a quiet room with windows facing Earth, Chen waited. When Vexlor entered, she gestured to a seat across from her. "Thank you for coming, General," she said. "It's time you understood what you're truly facing." "I'm listening," Vexlor replied, his voice tired. "Humanity developed quantum consciousness transfer over 300 years ago," Chen began. "We learned to separate our minds from our physical bodies and exist as pure consciousness." She touched a small device on her wrist, and suddenly her image flickered slightly. "What you see before you isn't a physical human, General. My real body is on Earth. This is a quantum projection." Vexlor's 4 eyes widened, a hologram. "No," Chen shook her head. "Much more. My actual consciousness is here, transferred through quantum connections. The Defiant isn't crewed by individual humans. It's operated by the linked minds of Earth's greatest scientists and military leaders, all projecting their consciousness onto the ship simultaneously." She stood and walked to the window. "What appears to be one ship is actually an extension of our entire defense network. The Defiant contains experimental technology that can manipulate reality at the quantum level within its sphere of influence." Vexlor struggled to understand. "If you have such power, why not build a fleet of these ships?" Chen turned to him, her expression serious. "Because we tried that once, General. 300 years ago, during our first contact with another species, We deployed multiple quantum vessels too close together. The overlapping fields created a quantum resonance that caused a star to go supernova. Vexilor gasped. Billions died that day, Chen continued softly. We destroyed an entire civilization by accident. Since then, we've contained ourselves, limiting our interference with other species while defending our existence when necessary. One ship, carefully controlled, is all we allow ourselves to use. So you chose isolation, Vexilor whispered. Not isolation. Responsibility, Chen corrected. We monitor the galaxy. We learn. We only intervene when absolutely necessary. Dr. Novak entered the room, also slightly flickering. Admiral, the remaining hegemony ships are changing formation. I believe they're preparing for a last attack. Chen nodded. As expected. She turned back to Vexilor. General, please return to your ship and stop this. No one needs to die today. Vexilor stood slowly. My remaining captains won't listen. They're loyal to the hegemony leadership, not to me. Then I'm sorry for what must happen next, Chen said with genuine regret. But we will not allow Earth to be threatened. As Vexilor left the station, he looked back at the two flickering human forms, not really there, yet more present than anyone he'd ever met. He finally understood the truth. Humanity hadn't sent one ship because they were weak. They'd sent one ship because anything more would be unnecessary and dangerous. The remaining 24 hegemony ships formed a tight attack formation. With many crew members having defected, the ships were operating with minimal personnel. But those who stayed were the most loyal to the hegemony and the most determined to destroy Earth. On the flagship, General Vexilor returned to find Commander Zarvik had taken control. You are no longer in command, General, Zarvik declared. You have been compromised by the humans. This attack is foolish, Vexilor argued. You don't understand what we're facing. I understand that the hegemony does not retreat, Zarvik replied coldly. Guards, take him away. As Vexilor was led from the bridge, the hegemony ships began their advance toward Earth. The Defiant moved to intercept them, still just one ship against 24. All ships, fire at will, ordered Zarvik. Weapons blazed across space, lasers, missiles, and energy torpedoes, all streaking toward the Defiant. But something strange happened. Around each hegemony ship, a faint blue field appeared. Inside these fields, the weapons simply stopped working. Triggers didn't fire. Missile launchers jammed. Energy weapons powered down. On the Defiant, Admiral Chen watched calmly. Localized quantum fields established, reported Dr. Novak. Their weapons cannot function within the fields. Thank you, Doctor. Chen nodded. Let's hope they see reason now. But Commander Zarvik was not ready to surrender. If weapons won't work, we'll use our ships themselves. Target the largest vessel for ramming speed. The hegemony dreadnought Asterisk, unstoppable Asterisk, turned toward Earth and accelerated to maximum speed. It would bypass the Defiant and crash directly into the planet. Admiral, the dreadnought, began Lieutenant Park. I see it, Chen replied calmly. Quantum field adjustment in progress. As the Asterisk, unstoppable Asterisk, raced forward, space itself seemed to bend around it. A blue shimmer engulfed the massive ship. Then, incredibly, it disappeared. Seconds later, the dreadnought reappeared, on the opposite side of the solar system. What happened? Demanded Zarvik, looking at the sensor readings in disbelief. They bent space, whispered the science officer. They created a quantum tunnel that sent us millions of miles away in an instant. On the Defiant, Lieutenant Park looked impressed. Nice trick with the spatial folding, Admiral. Not a trick, Chen corrected. Just applied quantum mechanics. Seeing the dreadnought's failure, General Vexilor, who had been brought to a holding cell, made one last appeal to the guards. Release me, he said urgently. I must stop Zarvik before he tries something worse. The guards, seeing the failed attack, nodded and unlocked his restraints. Back on the bridge, A desperate Zarvik prepared his final move. "Activate the singularity device," he ordered. "If we cannot have this system, no one will." The science officer paled. "The forbidden weapon. But sir, that will collapse the entire solar system." "Do it," Zarvik shouted. As the officer reluctantly began the activation sequence, General Vexlor burst onto the bridge. "Stop this madness," he shouted, but it was too late. Deep within the flagship, the singularity device hummed to life, ready to create a black hole that would destroy everything. The singularity device powered up, its ominous hum filling the flagship. General Vexlor lunged at Commander Zarvik, but guards held him back. "You fool," Vexlor shouted. "You'll kill us all." Zarvik smiled coldly. "If the hegemony cannot have this system, no one will." On the Defiant, alarms sounded. "Singularity weapon detected," reported Lieutenant Park, her voice urgent. "Energy readings are off the charts." But Admiral Chen remained calm. "We've seen these before," she said. "Activate the quantum containment protocol." Dr. Novak nodded, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Quantum field extending now. Aboard the hegemony flagship, the singularity device reached full power. A dark sphere of energy formed at its core, ready to expand and consume everything. Then, surprisingly, the energy began to flow in strange patterns. Instead of expanding outward, it seemed to pour into invisible channels that appeared in the air around it. "What's happening?" demanded Zarvik. On the Defiant screen, Admiral Chen watched as the deadly energy was safely channeled away. "Singularity contained," confirmed Dr. Novak. "Energy is being redirected to Earth's quantum network. It will power our planet for about a year." He smiled. "Quite efficient, actually." General Vexlor watched in amazement as the weapon that should have destroyed the solar system was neutralized without effort. The dark energy simply vanished, leaving the device empty and useless. "How?" he whispered. Chen's voice came over the communication system. "General, humanity has been containing similar weapons throughout the galaxy for centuries. We've had a lot of practice." Zarvik fell to his knees, defeated. The remaining hegemony ships, seeing their ultimate weapon fail, powered down their engines. The battle was over. 6 months later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on Earth for the first meeting of the Interstellar Concord. Species that had once feared each other sat together in a grand hall in Geneva. Admiral Chen, now serving as humanity's chief diplomat, addressed the assembly. "For too long, humanity isolated itself from the galactic community," she said, "not out of fear, but from a sense of responsibility. Our quantum abilities made us caretakers of reality itself, and we chose to intervene minimally." She gestured to the Defiant, visible through the windows as it orbited Earth. "One ship became our philosophy: precise, careful intervention instead of overwhelming force. We never sought to conquer, only to protect the delicate quantum fabric that connects us all." In the audience sat former General Vexlor, now a refugee granted asylum on Earth. He studied humans with new understanding. Their power could have destroyed the hegemony, but they chose restraint instead. After the meeting, Vexlor stood on a balcony overlooking the green hills of Earth. Admiral Chen joined him. "You could have destroyed us all," Vexlor said quietly. "Why didn't you?" Chen smiled. "Because destruction is easy, General. Understanding is harder. And in the end, much more valuable." Vexlor nodded slowly, looking up at the Defiant shining in the evening sky. Just one ship. Now he finally understood why it was enough.